if you thought fundamentalist Christians were stupid, you don't know the half of it. This is the Family Research Council's Jerry Boykin speaking at the Pro-Family Legislators Conference last fall. Now, keep in mind, this guy used to be Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. He was the United States Deputy Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence under President George W. Bush from 2002 to 2007. As you're about to see, the word intelligence is the last thing that should be associated with this guy.
The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. And in Revelation 19, it says when he comes back, he's coming back as what? A warrior. A mighty warrior leading a mighty army, riding a white horse with a blood-stained white robe. And I don't know about the theologians, and I was at Dallas Theological Seminary yesterday, and I said, I'm not going to argue theology with you folks, but I believe that blood on that robe is the blood of his enemies, because he's coming back as a warrior, carrying a sword. And I believe now, I've checked this out, I believe that sword he'll be carrying when he comes back is an AR-15. Now, I want you to think about this. Where did the Second Amendment come from? Where did the Second Amendment come from? I ask my students this. I ask men's groups. I say, where did the Second Amendment come from? From the Founding Fathers. It's in the Constitution. Well, yeah, I know that. But where did the whole concept come from? It came from Jesus. When he said to his disciples, now, if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. I know, everybody says, well, that was a metaphor. It was not a metaphor. He was saying, in building my kingdom, you're going to have to fight at times. You won't build my kingdom with the sword, but you're going to have to defend yourself. And that was the beginning of the Second Amendment. That's where the whole thing came from. I can't prove that historically, and David will counsel me when this is over, but I know that's where it came from. And the sword today is the AR-15, so if you don't have one, you go get one. You're supposed to have one. It's biblical.
That may be the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I like how he said at the end, yeah, I can't prove this historically. Yeah, we know. But thank you for admitting it, that everything you just said is totally and utterly made up, and it is hilarious. That is fodder for late-night comedians. I hope they get a hold of it, because that is priceless. He just said the Second Amendment comes from Jesus. Yeah, what part of the Bible was it exactly? He said, love thy enemy and thy 12 gauge. Turn the other cheek and grab a Ruger 22. How exactly does it go? The rich can't get into heaven through the eye of the needle, yada yada, and I love a Tech 9. This guy, he's so stupid. Like, I'm genuinely curious as to what's going on in his head 24/7. Is there one lonely brain cell up there like, hey, where'd everybody else go? What's going on here? I mean, Jesus is going to come back with an AR-15. And he said at that point, he said, I've checked this out. Jesus is going to come back with an AR-15. Really, where did you check that out? Does it reference AR-15s in the Bible? They didn't exist back then. And the thought that Jesus is some sort of barbarian and savage, I mean, this sounds like an SNL skit, but it's real. Jesus is the guy who said, love thy neighbor, thy enemy, the sick, the poor, the downtrodden. This guy's going to come back with a gun? The guy who said, let he who be without sin cast the first stone. In other words, nobody can cast the stone. He's the guy that said, turn the other cheek. You know what that is? That's a call for pacifism. Like somebody like me, I am a non-interventionist. That means I'm not going to fuck with anybody, but if somebody comes to attack the nation and it's inevitable, then yeah, we're going to defend ourselves. Jesus said, no, don't even defend yourself. Turn the other cheek. If somebody hits one cheek, you show them the other one and say, hit that one too, big guy. I'm above you. I never use violence. I beat you in the battle of principles. I know what I'm doing is right. I know what I'm doing is just. This is peace. This is the way. This is the light. God, man, to say that this guy missed the message of Jesus would be the understatement of the millennium. Jesus is coming back with an AR-15. Yeah, after he goes to a pro-life protest and casts a ballot for Ted Nugent, yeah, he'll do that. I take it Jesus was also in favor of the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War, and he loves American imperialism, and he wants to cut food stamps, and he wants to give more tax cuts to the rich, and he wanted to bail out Wall Street, and he loves the 1%. I'm sure all these things are totally true about Jesus.